Dramatic but measured music plays. Results of the US Supreme Court voting booths, civil rights protests, and headlines flash. SCOTUS issues major voting rights ruling, restricting the spotlight. States respond to cut decision. The US Supreme Court has issued a landmark decision that could reshape voting maps and minority political power across the country. In a closely watched case, the court ruled that racial gerrymandering, when districts are drawn in ways that dilute minority voting strength, violates the Voting Rights Act. Now states are scrambling to respond to that, and the ruling is setting off a new wave of political and legal battles ahead of the 2026 midterms. Let's break down what happened and what it means for voters. Footage of Supreme Court building, justice arriving, and key graphics showing the case name Alien versus Milligan. The case at the center of it all. Alien versus Milligan, a dispute of Alabama's congressional map, which civil rights groups alleged illegally diluted black voting power. Black residents make up 27% of Alabama's population, but under the world map, they had a realistic chance of electing a candidate of their choice in only one out of 7 districts. The Supreme Court agreed, ruling 5-4 that Alabama's map likely violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which bans voting laws or practices that discriminate on the basis of race. Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Brett Kavanaugh joined the court's 3 liberal justices in the majority, a surprise to many court watchers. Voting maps of Alabama's before and after, interviews with civil rights leaders and states officials reacting to the decision. The ruling forced Alabama to redraw its map, creating a second majority black district for the first time in decades. But the decision does not stop there. It sets a new precedent, and now similar lawsuits are moving forward in states like Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, and North Carolina. In some cases, federal judges have already ordered changes. In others, states are pushing back claims. The others ruling amount to judicial overreaches. But for the voting rights advocates, this is a major win and a rare moment when the Supreme Court strengthened protections instead of weakening them. Voting rights rallies, interviews, clips with voters, and a breakdown of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. The ruling is especially significant because of it affirms the power of Section 2, one of the few affirming tools of challenging discrimination after the court gutted Section 5 in 2013, Shelby County of versus Holder. The earlier decision removed the requirement for states with a history of discrimination to get federal approval before changing voting laws. Since then, redistricting battles have intensified and many voting rights protection have been rolled back. This new decision signals that the court is not ready to abandon all federal oversight when it comes to race and representation. Political analysts debating on news shows graphs showing demographic shifts and future elections. Politically, the impact could be huge. Redrawing just a few key districts could shift control of the House in 2026. More districts where Black and Latino voters have real influence could mean more minority candidates, more competitive races, and potentially more Democratic wins. Republicans argue that the court's ruling creates uncertainty, legal standards, and risk prioritizing race over other districting principles like compactness and or political neutrality. But civil rights leaders say this is about restoring fairness in a system that has long suppressed minority voices. American flag waving, voters casting ballots, courtroom and protesters side by side. The Supreme Court's voting rights decision is a powerful reminder. who draws the lines determines who has a voice. With redistricting battles now underway in multiple states, the fight for fair maps and equal representation is far from over. As the 2026 election approaches, the question is not just who will win, it's whether every vote will truly count. Voting rights ruling reverberates, distinct under review, democracy in focus.